The amount of evil that has been exposed over the past few weeks is beyond amazing. It shows that America's democracy is just a Potemkin Village. We thought that we had a republic, but now we find that we are actually ruled by deep state oligarchs. But that wasn't the only thing exposed. We also discovered that people believe the fraudulent fakery, even those who are in control of the phony narrative. No, really. They actually believe this stuff. I know that it's hard to accept that anyone would be so stupid and believe such insanity, but we have proof that it's true. An even bigger question is, how can we avoid being stupid ourselves? Welcome to the Shotcast. I'm John Little, recording on a somewhat chilly Sunday evening, December 20th, 2020. Now, before going on, hit like, click subscribe, and whack that little bell. It helps, really. And also, subscribe to The Shock Letter at theshockletter.com for free. You can also find my posts on Facebook and Twitter. And yeah, I'm tweeting on Twitter. And the links for all of that and more are in the description section below. Most importantly, thank you for praying for this ministry. The world is going downhill fast, and I want to make sure that you understand what is happening so that you can continue to serve the Lord in these last days. And now, let's get to today's first topic. They actually believe this stuff. Every year or so, I talk about stupidity. The really stupid kind. And since it has been almost 2 years since my last epic smackdown on stupid, it's time for another lesson. And the recent election shows a major case of stupid at work, flat earth levels of stupid. In the months and weeks leading up to the November 3rd election, Trump derangement syndrome, Orange Hitler, and the fine people hoax were everywhere. It was racist this and homophobic that. Biden hid in his basement but still somehow won the election. The fraud was horrendous. But the stupidity of it all was utterly incomprehensible. And the most insane thing of all is that the morons spouting the stupidity, they actually believed it and still do. How is that possible? How can people be that stupid? But they can. And we have some flat earther proof. Here's this one. A third of millennials aren't sure that the earth is a sphere. Over 1 billion people in the world follow every word of a 7th century psychopath, child rapist, and flat earther who robbed caravans in his spare time. And 43% of Americans think that socialism, the dumbest ideology outside of Islam, would be a good thing. And yes, they really believe this stuff. Even CNN, the least trustworthy source of news on the planet, those guys believe everything they say. And it's that level of belief and foolishness that's killing us. And I've talked about this in the following articles. The Dunning-Kruger effect is killing us in 2019, the flat earth mentality in 2018, and then also in 2018, the stop the self-deception. It's just amazing to see the amount of foolishness that people believe in, and getting them to stop believing in something foolish is really difficult, almost impossible. When was the last time that you were able to change someone's mind about a tightly held idea that was really stupid? I'm betting that the answer is almost never, if ever. I have never convinced a humanist to give up the worship of humanity. I've never convinced a flat earther to believe that the earth is a sphere. I've never convinced someone suffering from TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, to look at the Donald as just another politician doing politician things. But let me make this a little more personal. Can I do that? Can I make this personal? Okay, here it goes. When was the last time that someone convinced you that you believed in something that was dead wrong? I bet that the answer is never, or almost never. The best that anyone has probably ever been able to do is move the needle a bit, to push you a little bit towards believing that you were wrong. Even then, it probably took a lot of people, one at a time, to change your mind. Take myself as an example. For the first 20 years of my Christian life, I believed that your baptism wasn't real if you weren't baptized by someone who was baptized by someone who was baptized by someone who was all the way back to John the Baptist. In fact, I didn't even think that you could be saved unless your baptismal genealogy was pure and unbroken. I was quite the Pharisee as a young man, and a moron. Then God took me down the amazingly painful road of revelation. He showed me how wrong I was and how disgusted He was with people like myself. God showed me that my righteousness and holiness was arrogant hypocrisy that produced nothing but bitter and poisonous fruit. Pretty bad, right? The good thing is that God gave us a Bible, and I was reading it, and every time that I read, "Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them," Matthew 7:20, I felt convicted. I didn't have any fruit, and I knew that this was not a good thing. But God is faithful, which is why He dragged me out of where I was to the place where I am now. In the beginning, I was useless to God, but now it seems that I'm in a position to be of some use. At least, I hope so. The takeaway is this: I was as bad as a flat earther and a moron. Yep, as much as I like to give flat earthers a hard time, and I still do since it's so much fun, I was just as bad and just as stupid. In fact, in the eyes of God, I was probably worse. This has led me to wonder about what else I'm still wrong about. That's one big reason for me to keep reading my Bible. I believe that God will use those daily moments to help fix whatever else I have wrong. How about you? What is it that you believe that God sees as disgusting? Most Christians believe things that God thinks of as really, really stupid. And I can also guarantee that it's impossible for those people to see it, even if God wrote messages in the sky telling them how wrong they are. I know, because I was there. There was literally no way that anyone was going to convince me that I was wrong. No matter how much evidence you showed me, it was just not going to happen. I was a boneheaded moron, and there was no one who could convince me that I was wrong, except God. And to my dismay, I've discovered that most people are boneheaded morons. In one sense, we're all flat earthers and morons. I have come to realize that when Jesus referred to us as sheep, it's not because He was impressed with our intelligence. I guess that it's a good thing that God has such low expectations. We're stupid, but God loves us anyway. The good thing is that once you understand how stupid you are, it's a lot easier to learn how to be less stupid. It's also a lot easier to give people a break when you know that you aren't any smarter, although I can still be a bit of a hypocrite in that area. And the one thing that you need to do every day to keep from being a boneheaded moron is to read your Bible every day, the whole thing in a year, over and over. Do that every year, and you'll stop being a moron. That's how I stopped being a moron myself. If I can do it, you can too. Now, let's take another look at some of our favorite flat earthers. And my all-time favorite delusion is the belief that the earth is like a pancake. Flat earthers will always be my favorite example of the impenetrable delusion. No matter how much you proof you offer, a true flat earther will never give up his belief that the earth is flat. You could prove that the earth was a sphere just like Eratosthenes did 2,200 years ago, and they still wouldn't believe you. You could put them on a plane and fly them from Santiago to Sydney, hey Brett, and they still wouldn't believe you. You could show them the curvature of the earth by taking a boat out onto an apparently flat lake, but they still wouldn't believe you. Flat earthers believe that the earth is flat, and that's that. And we all tend to be just like that. The Pharisees and the Sadducees were like that during the time of Jesus. Paul was like that until Jesus knocked him off his donkey on his way to Damascus. I was like that until God knocked me off my own perch. Most journalists are also flat earthers. They might believe that the earth is a sphere, but they believe all kinds of other nonsense that is worse. If you take the time to listen to CNN's 9 a.m. meetings recorded by Project Veritas, you'll know that they are so delusional that they make flat earthers look smart. As I said before, they actually believe the drivel that they produce. Yeah, they actually believe this stuff. And I find that to be absolutely hilarious. The people at CNN really believe that Trump is a racist. They really actually believe it. They believe that Trump is just Orange Hitler. They believe that he colluded with Russia. They believe that he's trying to steal the election. They believe that he's the worst president since, well, ever. To CNN, nobody could possibly be worse than Trump, and there is absolutely nothing that you can do or say to convince them that it isn't true. Those who support the Palestinians are exactly the same. I am an eyewitness to how well the Israeli government has treated the Palestinians under the circumstances, but there is nothing that I can say that will change a pro-Palestinian's mind. Absolutely nothing. There are 1 billion people who follow the teachings of a 7th century psychopath who molested little girls, robbed caravans, and murdered thousands of people because they chose not to agree that he was anything special. He even admitted to being demon-possessed. Yet trying to get Muslims to change their minds about Muhammad is almost impossible. And those guys really do believe that the earth is flat. No, really. If you believe that the earth is flat, you might be a Muslim. Just saying. Atheists are flat earthers. They believe that the universe exploded out of nothing because, well, God just cannot exist. No, really. Their proof of the Big Bang and evolution is that God cannot exist. And since God cannot exist, there must have been a Big Bang and evolution and 52 different genders. Notice how good their logic is? Real good. Yeah. Atheists make flat earthers look logical. The problem is that they are all passionate in their belief, all of them. CNN, Palestinians, Muslims, Pharisees, atheists, and yes, flat earthers, they are all passionate believers in what they say. They believe it, and their belief is unshakable. So, what keeps you and me from becoming like them? Among other things, the answer lies in a love of the truth and not having pleasure in unrighteousness. If you lack either one of those, either one, this passage from the Bible will happen to you. Quote, "And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness." Close quote. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 10, 11, and 12. King James Version. That's right. God will send you a strong delusion, or at least an energetic delusion, if you read the Greek, if you fall into one of those two categories. If you don't love the truth, or have pleasure in unrighteousness. You only need one of those, and God himself will send you a delusion that you cannot escape. You can be as righteous as any man or woman could possibly be, but God will send you a strong delusion if you will not love and embrace the truth. Or you could love the truth more than anyone in this world, but God will dump you into a strong delusion if you enjoy immorality or any kind of unlawfulness. And it's just so easy to do. I know, I was there. And it is only by the grace of God that I'm not still caught in my delusions. I've been in quite a few dangerous situations. I'm kind of in one right now, so I can truthfully say that there isn't a lot that really scares me. But being dragged back into a place of delusion, yeah, that scares me a lot. One of the ways that God dragged me out of my spiritual delusion was reading the Bible every day. All year, every year, cover to cover. And since I was committed to believing that the Bible, or what the Bible said, God used key verses to point out that I was really delusional and stupid. And one of my biggest problems, I was adding to what God said in the Bible. God did not say that you must be baptized by someone who was baptized, by someone who was baptized, by someone who was all the way back to John the Baptist. It's not in the Bible. But I and others like me had put it there because we thought that it made sense. We had been adding to what God said. The same goes for the concepts of free will and predestination. I once thought that they were issues worth fighting over. Now I realize just how stupid that is. If you are willing to break fellowship with a brother or sister over free will or predestination, you are not right with God. Let me say this again. If you break fellowship over the idea of predestination or free will, you are not walking with God. Seriously, it's a sin to do that. You are adding to what the Bible and God says. And God is not pleased with those who add to the Bible. So stop it. I was reminded of this recently when I ran across this verse a few days ago. Quote, "Do not add to his words, lest he rebuke you and you be found a liar." Close quote. Proverbs 30:6, ESV. I spent a lot of time violating that principle, and I'm determined to never do that again. Although, bumbling idiot that I am, I'm sure that I will. But at least I understand that this is wrong. Unfortunately, there are lots of Christians who do not understand this. Bible translators have inserted their own interpretation into the Bible, so much so that there is not a single Bible translation, not a single one, that is unaffected. And I can hardly believe how bad this is. I actually do not know of a single translation that has not been corrupted by someone inserting his personal beliefs into the Bible. This is a horrendous sin that has corrupted the KJV, the ASV, the NASB, the NIV, and the ESV. Even the English in the interlinear Bible is often badly inaccurate. And some of these errors have led to some real foolishness. Would the pre-tribulation rapture theory even exist today if Luke 21:36 had been translated accurately? No, of course not. And let's take a closer look at the pre-trib rapture lie. Is there any verse in the Bible that describes a pre-tribulation rapture? No, there isn't. Not a single one. However, there are plenty of verses that indicate that we will be going through the Great Tribulation, at least of the Antichrist, and at least some of the natural disasters that come with that. But very few are paying attention to those verses because they love the false teaching that claims that we have nothing to watch for, since we'll be gone before anything happens, right? Another one that gets me is about Daniel's 70th week. Most people say that there's a 2,000-year gap between Daniel 9:26 and Daniel 9:27. Yet there is no proof anywhere in the Bible that this gap is real. A more recent invention is this Psalm 83 war. There isn't a single verse in Psalm 83 that indicates that psalm is prophetic. Nor is there any other verse in the Bible that points to Psalm 83 saying it's prophetic. But Bill Salas got it into his head that it was a prophecy. And he wrote a book. Please, there is no Psalm 83 war. Even if Psalm 83 was a prophecy of such a war, it would have been fulfilled in 1948, but people just aren't interested in reason or truth. Sort of like CNN. By now, it should be clear to all of you that America is no longer a democracy. And I've begun to wonder about the last time that we were. I think that we've had moments of democracy where the will of the people overcame the corruption and control of the deep state. But those moments have become increasingly rare as America became wealthier and more powerful. I think that the election of Donald Trump in 2016 was a moment of democracy. Ronald Reagan seemed like a democratic moment too, maybe. FDR lied his way into power, but at least the election was democratic. Eisenhower was an exercise in democracy, and so was Nixon, or maybe not. And Eisenhower warned us that we risked losing our democracy. Yeah. The military-industrial and intelligence complex. We ignored Eisenhower's warnings, and here we are. They murdered JFK and shot Reagan, and then they put their own people in power. So, when was the last time that America was a democracy? And yes, I know that the United States is described as a republic, but that's just semantics. The word republic, or res publica, is essentially just the Latin version of the Greek word demokratia. We're still talking about the democratic process of choosing people who will make the laws that we all agree to live by. So, when was the last time that was a thing? When did the republic fall? When did our democracy become a Potemkin Village? That's it for this shotcast. Again, hit like, click subscribe, and whack that little bell. And again, please share this video or the MP3 below. After you have done all that, leave a comment. I like seeing what you have to say about what was said here. Your input is welcome. Then help Omega Shock stay alive and keep the shotcast alive. There's a link below that can help you do that. I am truly grateful for all of you who have helped this ministry continue. I could not do this without you. May God bless you for your generosity. Also, subscribe to The Shock Letter at theshockletter.com and read my books for free, When Jacob Returns and Ezekiel's Fire. You do not want to get caught by what is coming.